In this video, we're going to look at how to solve quadratic equations graphically. And we're going to do some simple equations first of all, and in the next video we'll look at a hard one, and in the third video we'll look at like the hardest version of the questions that you could get asked to do in a test. Okay, so here is a graph we're going to plot first. So we're going to plot the graph of y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3, and the range of x values we're going to use are -3 up to 4. Now, if this was an exam, they'd have this table kind of semi-filled in for you, and you've just got to fill in the remaining boxes. But we're going to do the whole thing. So let's put -3, because that's the first number they want. And let's just go up in ones. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the x values we're told to work with. And we need to find the corresponding y values and then draw the graph. Okay, so the first y value, we have to sub in -3 into this. Now, when you're squaring negatives, it's always a good idea to write them in a bracket, because if you type that in on the calculator, it will do it correctly. If you type that in on the calculator, it will give you the wrong answer. So make sure you put your kind of negative numbers in a bracket. And then it's going to be -2 times -3. So it's take away 2 times -3. -3. Okay, so -3 squared is +9. -2 effectively times -3 is +6. Take away 3, that's 12. Okay, let's just do one more. Y equals -2 squared -2 times -2 -3, so that's going to be 4. Add 4, take 3, that's 5. Okay, and the remaining ones are, let's just do a quick 0, -3, -4, -3 again, and then 0, and then 5. Okay, now we need to plot the graph of that as accurately as possible. So here's like a table, and we need to plot the points. So let's just do that real quick. -3 is 12, -2 was 5, that's roughly here. -1 is 0, -2 is -3, sorry, 0 is -3, 1 is -4, that's the lowest point. 2 is -5, 3 is 0, and 4 was 5. Okay, so if this was on a graph paper, it'd be quite easy to draw this, but you need to make sure it's a smooth curve. Okay, oops, no, that's terrible. You need to go through the points. So smooth curve through the points. Okay, that's terrible again. Okay, this is terrible, really. It's really hard to draw, but here's a much more accurate version I did on the computer instead. Okay, it's hard to do it on a kind of tablet, but this is kind of like if it was on graph paper, it's really easy to draw. Right. Okay, so what we're going to do is a couple of things now, real quick. We are going to solve some equations. Okay, so first of all, we're going to solve the equation x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, now we've already drawn the graph of y equals this thing here, x squared minus 2x minus 3. So we've already drawn that. And basically we want to know is, where does this graph equal 0? Effectively, where does y equal 0? Okay, so this is the y-axis. Here's 0. Where does the graph equal 0? Well, it equals 0 at x equals -1 and x equals 3. So x equals -1 and x equals 3 are the solutions to this equation. And whenever a graph equals 0, there's a special name for that. We call it the roots of the equation, or sometimes we call them the zeros. Okay, so they either call the zeros or the roots, and it's basically, where does this graph cut the x-axis? Where does the y effectively equal 0? And this is one coordinate where the y value is 0, and this is another coordinate where the y value is 0. So they are the solutions. And if you plug these numbers in, they do give you 0, because if we go back to kind of our table, if we have a look, -1 for x gives us 0, and 3 also gives us 0. So they definitely work. Okay. Right, let's look at a slightly, let's clear the annotation there. Let's look at a slightly harder question related to this. Okay, so we've got the same expression again, x squared minus 2x minus 3, but we want it to equal 6 this time, not 0. Now, you can solve this equation by taking away 6 and making it equal to 0 and trying to factorize that, or using the quadratic formula, but we're going to do it with a graph. But this time we're not going to get an exact answer, we're going to get an estimate for the answer. And whenever we solve equations graphically, we only ever really get estimates for the answer. We don't tend to get exact answers unless it's something really obvious like this, but we're going to get an estimate for this equation here. And all we need to do is just draw the graph of y equals 6. Okay, just basically, where does this graph equal 6? And all we need to do is draw a horizontal line going through the number 6. Okay, now here's the number 6 on the y-axis. Okay, this is really, really badly drawn, but it should be done with a ruler. But actually, I did have it a moment ago, didn't I? Let's do that properly. So that's it there. Okay. Okay, so this is the line y equals 6. Okay, and all we need to do is find out where that horizontal line intersects the graph. Well, it intersects here. Okay, and all we need to do is read off the x value. So that's going to be, okay, this is not particularly well drawn, but it should really be a vertical line. But that's going to be, it's very close to minus 2.3. So let's say minus 2.25 to 2 dB. Okay, and the other one is about here. Okay. Oh, sorry, that's wrong, isn't it? That original one's not quite right at all. So that's minus 2.2 there. It's very close to that, isn't it? So minus 2.15 maybe. Okay. And the other one is very close to 4.2. So the other answer would be 4.15 maybe. Okay, seems like it's between 4.1 and 4.2 is roughly somewhere between them. So this is kind of one estimate, and this is the other estimate for the answer. So let's just see how close to 6 we get. Let's plug in 4.1. So 4.15 squared minus 2 times 4.15, take away 3. Let's see how close to 6 we get. Okay, so when you plug it in on the calculator, you get 5.9225, which is fairly close to 6. Okay, these are not exact answers, they are rough estimates. But in an exam question, if you have a problem like this, you are allowed to kind of estimate the answer by using this method. And there is a margin of error which you are allowed to be within, so it'd be like 1 or 2 decimal places off the exact answer. But this is kind of like 2 estimates for the answer to this equation. If you want to find the exact answer, you have to make it equal to 0 and then use the quadratic formula, this thing, the full version of that, to get the exact answer. But we're only solving this equation by estimating the answer, and we're doing that graphically. Okay, so that's one kind of way to do it. You kind of draw the graph of the other side and see where that graph crosses the graph that you've already drawn. In the next video, we'll look at a slightly harder version of this, and in the final video, we'll look at the hardest version of this.